Veronica Anzaldua, and I ask you to visit my website, voteveronica.com. I also feel that I am your candidate of choice. I am your conservative candidate of choice. I'm a social conservative and a fiscal conservative, and I do vote my values. I have been with the party working actively since the year 2000. I've gone to the state convention since that time. I have also been working with the party as far as block walking, and I have also helped out with fundraisers and the phone banks. I feel that I am your true conservative of choice because I believe liberal influence should be kept to a minimum, and I am a social conservative because I believe that the smallest, most efficient budget should be used. Whenever there is an issue on the budget, I think that we should revert to what we need to do to make sure that we keep everything in line and do not do any sort of overspending. I feel that as the true conservative, my record will show, if you go back, that I have been working with the party, and you will see my voting record as well. I ask that you visit my website, voteveronica.com, and you will see more of where I stand. Do know that I am an educator, and I have been an educator since 16 years now. I have been in the English department.
Thank you.
Right. All right. If you could please hold the 30 seconds longer so that we make sure that we see it, I'd appreciate that.
Okay.
It's kind of hard because you guys are spread out.
I know. All right, Laurie?
Hi, good morning. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I've been talking since this morning at my first event at 9. I'm Laurie Turner, and I am running for State Board of Education. I am also a teacher with Gregory Portland Junior High, where I not only serve in the schools, but I'm also the history department chair. I have a master's in public policy, and I'm currently earning my EDD at Texas A&M Corpus Christi in education law and policy. I'm familiar with some of the faces here. I met you before when I was here a couple months ago, and it's really nice to see you guys again. A little bit about the job. A lot of times I've been speaking, and a lot of people have heard my speeches and getting kind of tired of saying the same speech over and over again. So a lot of people have asked about what is the State Board of Education and what's going on. First of all, they're really responsible for 3 areas: curriculum, funding, and school initiatives. And curriculum is very important. That's something that's always in the news. It's something that we always talk about, something that you always hear. One of the reasons why we talk about curriculum so much is that Texas has the highest population, and what we put into our textbooks overflows into curriculum, and we influence other states. It's very important. And currently, I don't know if you've been listening to the news or online, but recently there was a huge debate going on at the state board, and they're revamping some of the textbooks, especially for history. And one of the debates that they tend to focus on, talk about political agendas and trying to pass things through, is the name of Barack Obama's middle name, Hussein. That was more important than the child who's in school trying to figure out what their future is. It seems like the State Board of Education has lost why they are running and why they were elected, and I really want to make sure that I keep our conservative values into our schools and focus on students.
Okay, first question. I have to go to Laurie.
Okay.
Bingo.
What do you personally think of the policy No Child Left Behind?
The policy No Child Left Behind. 2 minutes?
Yes.
Okay. No Child Left Behind was instituted in 2001 in order to close the achievement gap Well, as being a teacher in education, we know that is not realistic. This program was developed really to produce workers. We have such an array of education, we have an array of students, and that focusing on the achievement gap and then trying to measure it in order for us to get funding, that's what it was all about. Schools have to perform. It's a performance-based program. If students do not perform, you don't get funding. And there's a whole big cycle, and they just have really harmed our schools. Because we have the biggest achievement gap today than we ever had before 2001. Our kids sometimes cannot be measurable in a state standardized test. There are other ways of measurements, and our school system has lost its purpose. Besides focusing on teaching and education, we have focused on accountability and measurements based on performance. And we all know not every child performs at the same level at the same time. We all go through our developmental stages. And No Child Left Behind, this idea has failed our students. We have ignored and left stranded 90% of our students. And it's time to throw that away. A lot of states are already, it doesn't work, we know it, and it's already going past. But the problem is that there's the new program, Obama's program, race to the top. Those who can compete, those who are the top 10% get the funding. The rest of us just fall to the wayside. That program isn't sufficient, and it doesn't work. So right now, education is at a crossroads, and we need to get beyond and figure out some solutions. And my solution has always been education.
Okay, Veronica, if you can answer the same question.
Okay. No Child Left Behind. What do I think about it? I don't like it. We need to get rid of it. We can't do it, though. It's got to come from up at the top. No Child Left Behind. Yes, it started as Goals 2000 with the President Clinton era. And unfortunately, it was taken in by our own president, President Bush. Well, so here we are. No Child Left Behind. How do we change it? Well, it's not something that the state board is going to do. But it does lead us into the fact that we are doing high-stakes testing. And it's been provable already that we are falling behind.
Open.
One of the things that I feel that we should be doing instead of the high-stakes testing is bringing in instead a portfolio system where the portfolio will follow the child. Yes, we do need to have testing. I'm not saying we shouldn't have testing, because testing always has to be a measure of where you stand, whether it's for a teacher or a student. But if you have that portfolio system and it follows the child, you can see the growth that the child has done. You can prove to the child where they lack, what they're lacking in. You can see it in the STEM, in the science, the technology, the English or the math, or as we like to call it, us meaning me, the reading, writing, and arithmetic. We need to get our children back to the fundamentals. Back in the primary grade, that's where we need to focus on. The fundamentals in the primary grades. And that's how we will make our children a success. Thank you.
Veronica will get the question first.
It is a two-part question. What is your opinion of the overall curriculum and textbooks, in particular social studies? And then the second one reads, y'all want to answer that one first, or do them both?
Well, do they go together?
Kind of a little bit different, but do you think alternative lifestyles should be taught to elementary students?
You can put the question on the table, that way they can.
Yeah.
They just put the question on the table, and that way they can look at the question while they're trying to.
That's two questions.
Two questions.
Two separate questions.
It should be two separate questions.
Yeah,
All
it should be
right,
two
so if it's two, then...
Answer the first question, I guess.
That's fine.
Yeah.
It kind of answers part of your opinion on this.
Yeah.
Okay. The overall opinion of the overall curriculum and textbooks in relation to social studies. We need to watch what is happening right now because social studies is coming up. And as conservatives, we want to make sure that we do not lose the basis of our Constitution through the social studies. We don't need, as it was talked about previously, we don't need to know that all of these people are here. We need to make sure that our children know who Washington is, that they know who Abraham Lincoln is, and we're getting away from that. The textbooks, those are changing drastically. I know that because I'm not the social studies, I don't deal so much with the social studies as my opponent does. I deal a little bit more with the English. I know that in English, we have taken away the story of the creation. So the senior English class, when they used to do the debates, and they would have the creation story and Eve's letter of apology, they weren't able to correctly tell the students from the textbook itself. Why that was taken out? Who knows? Well, we do know. It's because the country has gone to the left, and we need to bring it back to the right. That's what I say. We need to bring it back to the right, which leads into the second question, alternative lifestyles. Being on the right, being black and white, no, I'm sorry. No, alternative lifestyles, they're there. We don't need to teach them. Every time they turn on that boob tube, it's there. It doesn't have to be in the classroom. They don't need that. So we need to be, in particular, very effective of our curriculum and our textbooks. Thank you.
Okay. Their question, that's good. You answered both of them in 2 minutes. Okay, Laurie.
Okay. What is your opinion on the overall curriculum? Well, first of all, I think it is missing a big chunk, and it's called vocational programs and training. A lot of our students are not going to make it to the halls of higher education, as some of the legislatures have mentioned earlier. And then we really need to get our kids trained, and we really need to provide a future for them. In textbooks, and particularly social studies, I do teach social studies, and I spoke against our textbooks when the social studies was revamped in 2010. I was very disappointed in the decisions of the State Board of Education and that they wanted to basically lie to our students and not teach the truth to our students. I teach social studies, I teach Texas history, and I teach U.S. history, especially the Founding Fathers, the Pilgrims, the Puritans. I also teach the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, and we focus on the truth, and we focus on what their intentions are, and we really get into the nitty and gritty to uphold the values of our schools, to uphold the values of our country, and to uphold the values of our state and community. Do you think alternative lifestyles should be taught in elementary students? I think any type of education and curriculum should be age appropriate. And teaching alternative lifestyles to elementary schools who cannot comprehend and you're just learning about what their family is, I think is inappropriate. If you want to teach alternative lifestyles, there is home ec and there are other type of family curriculum and classes offered at the high school level where if that is part of what they want to learn, they can learn that on their own. This is a political agenda, and it takes the focus off of teaching, and that's what education should be about, teaching, so they can be productive. Thank you.
Thank you, Laurie. Wow, that was good. 2 questions. Okay, this question will go to Laurie. Do we first?
Okay. How do you intend to ensure that the funds, and I think that's a TRS, remain in a dedicated fund?
Oh, we must have an educator here, a retired teacher or principal. TRS is, part of our salaries goes into our retirement fund. It is the biggest retirement fund in the state of Texas. And currently the legislatures want to turn our retirement fund that we put our money into and turn it into a 401k. So the state government can borrow off of and spend for their own use. And it's very important that we keep that intact because we have seen it over time and time again.